Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Vigstez Creates. I'm really glad that you have chosen to come and visit my channel today. Hello, a special hello to any people that are new to my channel, and also a wonderful hello to those who have already visited my channel and subscribed. When I first started making cards, I bought a Big Shot Plus machine in the Black Friday sales, and it came as part of a kit, so it came with a few dies and some card stock and various bits and pieces. And I just wanted to get straight away launch into making cards, but then I realised actually there's so many different other things that I needed before I could start making cards. So I am making this video and hoping that it will give you some helpful tips if you are relatively new to card making and paper crafts. And maybe you haven't even dipped your toe in the water yet, or maybe you're just starting to and you're just thinking, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff out there, I don't know where to start. So that's the point of this video. Hopefully you might learn a few things today and learn from some of my experiences. So I'll see you in a mo over at my craft table. Thank you. See you in a mo. Right, so you're a new card maker, or you have it's a hobby or something that you've been interested in for a while and you want to get started, and you're thinking, where the heck do I start? Inspiration. So you're here now, you're watching this on YouTube. So YouTube is a massive source of inspiration. There are millions of creators, millions of pieces of inspiration that you can find on YouTube, sources of inspiration. There are also things like magazines, which often come with free gifts, which is really good when you're first getting started. There are crafty communities for example, on social media. There are different crafty Facebook groups, and they might be, some of them are around run by a specific brand. There's quite a few of them, and there are some that are for all crafts. Some of the ones by particular brands will only let you post your pictures or ask questions or talk about their own particular brand products in there. And there's also an online community called Craft World, that is owned by Practical Publishing, who also own Craft Stash, which is an online retailer that sells loads of crafty goodies. And they also own some of the top magazines as well. So, what have we got here? This pink thing. It's a cutting mat. So, when I got my Big Shot Plus and wanted to dive into card making, I was interested in die cutting. I'd seen cards and things made with die cutting, and that was sort of what drew me in initially. And I realised that I've got a craft desk here, and it's an old desk, and it's got scratches and stuff on it, so it's not perfect, but you know, I wanted to protect it. And basically you need something, a cutting mat, to protect the surface of your desk. So I bought this one. It is 17 by 11 inches, and if you turn it over, we have centimetres, so it's 42 by 27 centimetres. So I tend to use the pink side because I tend to follow a lot of American YouTubers, and they use inches, so that sort of was easier for me there, giving measurements like a standard note card size is 4¼ by 5½ inches. So obviously I didn't want to keep converting that, so you know, that it just made sense for me to use this. So a cutting mat, so you know, you can see on here probably, you know, there's bits of glue, and this is a self-healing cutting mat. So basically, you know, you can cut into it and it's not really gonna, so here's a craft knife. I mean, it does leave marks, but it's still usable, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So you need a cutting mat, that's the first thing. So I had this, and this served me perfectly well for over a year. But what I really wanted in the future was a glass cutting mat, and I particularly wanted this one, this large one by Tonic Studios and Tim Holtz, because it's got the area that's measured out in inches and 1/4 inches and 1/2 inches over here on the black side, and then the white side can be used for other purposes. So I initially started out with this, and I can't remember how much it was, but I think it was around £8 to £12, something like that. And I say that served me perfectly well. You can get smaller ones, you can get bigger ones, but yeah, so that's number one, a cutting mat or a cutting surface. Number two, adhesives. So sticky things. There is so much choice, so many different products. I'm just going to bring a few of mine into shot and talk about them. As you can see, there are absolutely loads. I've got things by all different brands. But yeah, you need things to stick things to other things. So when I first started out, I was looking at, I think I was Googling like what's the best kind of glue to use in card making, and I was reading some blog post or something, and it was saying that like this Aleene's original tacky glue was quite good, and lots of people were saying that, so I bought that, and I must admit I do quite like it. It's got a bit, I'm getting a bit messy here. So the thing with this, it came sealed, so you have to cut the end off with a craft knife in order to reveal the part where the glue comes out. And I think I cut a bit too much off, and basically the hole became a bit too big, which was a bit of a shame, because as time went on, I realised that I actually quite like intricate, detailed projects, and so I prefer things with a finer nib. But I do find this to be a good all-round glue to use. I got these from a pound shop. This is a glue pen. So it looks like a pen, but it is sticky. I've got this one by Dovecraft, Ultimate Craft Glue, clear drying acrylic glue, ideal for all your creative projects. There are things like tape runners. So this one is by Create and Craft. This one is by Nuvo. And some of them are permanent. So for example, that's a permanent adhesive. This one here by Stick It, I deliberately bought because it's not permanent. So if I'm not quite sure and I'm playing about with where I want to position items on my card, I can use that to stick something down temporarily. And also you can buy refills for that. Which I really liked. I did buy one when I went to the pound shop, and I bought these. I also bought a tape runner from the pound shop, but that doesn't come, or it didn't come at the time anyway, I'm not sure if it does now, with refills. And you know, I do care about the environment, and I'm trying to reduce my plastic use, so you know, I try as much as I can. So I decided I didn't want to buy any more of them because you couldn't buy refills for them. But you can just use things that you might have like lying around the house that your kids might have, you know. Good old-fashioned glue sticks. Used to be Pritt Stick, didn't it? But, you know, it comes in all different brands. I've got an Asda one, a Yoo-Hoo. I think my husband gave me that. I don't know what he bought it for. My sort of favourite, or my sort of go-to glues are these Cosmic Shimmer Specialist Acrylic Glue. Which obviously comes in a small size and a bigger size. And again, I like these because it's very strong, it's very grabby, so you put it on and it very quickly adheres things. And again, similar to the tacky glue, you use a craft knife to cut the edge off so you can get a very tiny little hole, which is really good for very detailed projects. And as you can see, both of these are nearly empty, so I store these upside down. So it's easier to use. This is a more recent one that I've tried, Nouveau Deluxe Adhesive. I find that to be very similar to the Cosmic Shimmer. Good quality, very strong. It's got a little bit more wiggle time. It doesn't grab on quite as quickly as the Cosmic Shimmer. But all of these things have their sort of their pros and cons, and ultimately it's going to be down to personal preference. Here's another thing that I got, probably from the pound shop again, some glue dots. So these are individual little sticky dots that you just peel off. So it looks like I haven't even used this yet. They're on the other side. Yeah, they're on there. So you can see that they're sticky dots, so they're sticky on both sides. So you can use those for maybe if you've die cut a small flower or something, you could use that to stick it on. Another thing that I use, so I do tend to use glue quite often, and then we've got sticky tapes. So we have what are called, so these are all double-sided tapes. As you can see, they come in a variety of different thicknesses. So this one by Sticks 2 is 3mm thick, as is this one by Hunky Dory, so it's very fine. And this one, another one by Sticks 2, is 6mm. Excuse me while I have a drink. So red liner tapes are basically stronger versions of regular double-sided tape. These really are really very high tack. So regular double-sided tape you'll likely have already be aware of and have seen it. Again, it comes in a variety of different thicknesses. Not sure how thick that one is, probably about 7 or 8mm. I wouldn't say, would that be a centimetre? Not quite sure. But again, all different sizes. I often tend to buy, but I've run out at the moment, a pack of 3, which is about that wide, so about maybe an inch or a bit less. A pack of 3 from the pound shop, so I'll often buy that. So you need adhesives and you need to figure out what works for you and in what scenario. And that's very much going to depend on the type of cards that you want to make, which is why I said inspiration to start off with, because, you know, when you're looking at, unless you've got a big ton of money to spend, you're going to have to spend what resources you do have wisely. So, you know, there's no point buying things if you're not going to use them, or they're not going to be, if they're just going to be sitting around gathering dust. So figure out what kind of things you might want to try. Look at projects online, or maybe buy a magazine. They often come with free gifts, like I said, so I've just picked a couple here. So these are 2 free gifts that came with 2 magazines. So this one's got loads of stamped images on there, autumn themed, sort of like trees and acorns and whatnot, and autumn related sentiments, but general sentiments as well, like happy birthday, many happy returns, just a note, thankful, grateful, blessed. This one, the Enchantment collection, that's very cute. Maybe good for kids cards, you know, princesses, unicorns, although lots of adults love unicorns, maybe in one of them, dragons. And I say often they tend to be themed. That's what the magazines tend to do. They'll do a themed one, but you'll find that it does have, it will have sentiments that you can use for a variety of different occasions. So if you want to get into stamping, for example, you're going to need to buy probably different stuff, or at least some different stuff, than you are if you want to get into predominantly using die cutting to make cards. So maybe just pick like one thing that you want to start with and sort of buy a few things related to that. The things I'm covering today are sort of things that you're probably going to need for whatever you use. So I've tried to just make this really, really basic. All right, let's move all these glues out of the way so I can show you the next bit. So the next thing I have on my list is paper and card. So obviously, if you want to make cards, then you need card. Now you can buy in packs from craft stores and from online craft retailers, card and envelope packs. So they're pre-made. I'll show you some examples. Here are two examples. Here are 12 greeting card blanks with matching C6 envelopes made from recycled paper. So basically that's got a score line in the middle, so you'd have to fold that in half, and then it comes with and so it looks like that, and then it comes with matching envelopes. This is another one. So this is similar size, sort of an American, US A2 size, in bright white. So you get 10 card blanks and envelopes. You can also pick these up in pound shops as well. But again, you know, the quality might not be as good, it might be variable, but that might be okay, especially when you're just starting out and dipping your toe in the water. The great thing about card and envelope packs is that you don't have to worry about the envelopes, because of course the other option is that you make your own card blanks. So you buy sheets of card or like a ream of card or a pack of card, and then you cut that down to size and you make it yourself. But then you have to get envelopes, so you've got to figure out, are you going to buy the envelopes separately? Are you going to make your own envelopes? If you're really just thinking, right, I'm not quite sure what I want to do, then just picking up a pack of probably white or cream card blanks with the matching envelopes is a great place to start. Putting card. So I talked about card blanks and envelopes there. But paper. So paper and card. So with card blanks, the thickness, you really want card blanks to be thicker than the other types of card that you might use. So for example, the tonic ones I just showed you, the white ones are, you can see it says envelopes 120 GSM, so they're paper, that's quite thick paper, and the cards are 300 GSM. Now I'm not sure what GSM stands for, but basically the higher the GSM, the thicker the card stock. And so for a good quality card blank, you want it to be around that, or sort of pushing towards that. Something that I bought when I first, probably in the first few months of crafting, was this Paper Mania assorted colours textured premium cardstock, and I liked this because of the array of colours. Now you only get like one sheet of each, but you get such an amazing array of colours. which was important to me because I wanted to get into die cutting, so I wanted, oops, sorry if that was really loud, a range of different colours. Now I think before I bought that one, I bought the little baby version, so this is obviously A4. This one is A5, so as you can see, I've used over half of that, and that's the baby version, so A5 is half of A4. You know, and I always put sometimes I only need to use a little bit, so I just put them back in here, so they're all together. And with this, it's textured, so it's textured more on one side than on the other, but I quite like that textured effect. So yeah, you're gonna need card, and possibly paper as well. So pretty paper, patterned paper, which again you can pick up in craft stores, online. Obviously at the moment in the UK we're in lockdown, so I'm not sure whether you can actually sort of go into shops and browse them. There might be some shops that are open that sell. My husband recently got me a really nice 12 by 12 inch paper pad for $1.99 of really good quality patterned paper, virgin on card, the thickness, from B&M Bargains, and obviously they primarily sell food, so I think they're still open. So yeah, so that was paper and card. Next on our list is inks. So I said, as with me, I wanted to originally go down the making cards primarily using die cuts like this. So this has used a die set, a set of 3 dies to make this pattern, and here is some speciality paper, and a card blank, and then a bit of paper, and that sentiment has been heat embossed, which I'm not going to touch on in this video because that's a bit more advanced than basic, but I wanted to get into making cards like this. So for this, you only need some very basic ink in probably a couple of colours, black or white. So, I mean, I could have stamped in black ink on a white strip of card, or on a sort of beige or gold coloured piece of card, a sentiment, and stuck it on there. There are so many different types of inks, so I'm just going to do a brief introduction today. I've got a longer video on my channel around how to get really good, clear, crisp images, both for sentiments and for images. So if you're interested in stamping, I would suggest checking that video out. But there's 2 main types. If you think of it as being like two of the most common types of inks that you would encounter as a beginner would be a dye-based ink and a pigment ink. So dye-based inks, these are good for stamping images. So for example, you could stamp the image of a unicorn using that, and then once it's dried, and it dries really quick, you could colour that in. You could equally use a pigment ink, and this one, VersaFine Onyx Black, is really good for fine details. So again, that would be good to probably, if I were to ink something like this, like the crown, see how intricate it is, or one of these little cards, I would probably use that because that would give more of a crisp result. But there are so many, that's just black inks. There are so many different types of inks. I've got a few of mine out here to show you. So these are distress inks. And you can see the way I've stored them is I've got a bit of micropore tape there stuck down. It's not working that well, it's not stuck as well as I'd like, but a bit of micropore tape down there, and I've got this sticky pad, and this is a blending sponge, and I try and have one for each colour because they're quite inexpensive. This is another way of blending, these little blending sponges. These are by Nuvo, but this is probably where a lot of people start off using an ink and a blending tool. So that's if you wanted to create like a background. So Distress inks, these are by Ranger, by Tim Holtz. So Ranger is the company, Tim Holtz is a designer that works with them. And these are unique in that they react with water. So you can, if you were to create a background with these and then splatter on some water, the ink reacts with the water and creates like a splodgy effect, which is really quite pretty. They also come in Distress Oxide inks. This is a refill. I wanted this colour in the a Distress Oxide ink pad, but I couldn't find it at the time, so I just bought this is the refill. So you can buy refills for them, so you can refill them. So I thought, oh well, I'll just buy the oxide, because then I can squirt a bit out onto my glass mat here, and then pick that up with my blending tool and use that way. So I haven't actually done that yet, but that was my rationale for sort of doing that, because I haven't got many of the oxide inks, although some of these I might have just got in a bundle, which is another good thing. I haven't put it on my list actually, but I should have put it on my list. Once you figure out what you need, so you might already have some of these things already, but one of the things that I did, which you might want to consider, is look at places like eBay and Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that, or charity shops when they're open again, and see if you can see any bundles of things, because sometimes people have a craft stash because they've gathered so many things, or they've decided that they don't want to craft anymore, or whatever. And you can actually get quite a few things together in a bundle for a vastly reduced price. So I've got lots of things that way. I've managed to build up my stash doing that, and also taking advantage of offers, because lots of online retailers do really good offers. For example, Craft Stash has a deal of the day every day. So if you subscribe to the newsletter, you know, it's straight to your inbox every day. So, you know, like if you're on the lookout, you know, you want to build your collection of inks, you can see, oh, okay, they've got an offer on inks. You know, maybe I'll buy some of them. So there was these I really like. I've got the whole collection of these Prism inks. And I'll show you how they stamp. They stamp really, really beautifully. So, for example, I was getting into wanting to stamp flower images, and the only inks I had were a few Distress inks, and I found that they just weren't sort of doing the trick for me, the way that they were laying down when I was stamping with them. So I wanted to try some different ones, and the Prism inks were on offer, so I bought them. And this is an example of how they stamp, and I just thought it was such a lovely, I mean, it was a really good deal, the offer, and there's such a lovely range of colours. These are by the brand Eyes Ink. These are from Craft Stash. I can't remember how much they were, but it was really quite inexpensive. Again, they come in little small cubes, which I actually prefer to work with than the bigger cubes, which you can buy. For example, these are the traditional size Distress inks, but I prefer working with the smaller ones. Again, it's just personal preference. So you'll need inks for if you're going to stamp sentiments, which are, you know, the words and images. So initially I would just say get yourself some black ink, colouring materials. Now you can use inks to colour with. So what you can do, if I grab a bit of card, I'll show you. So I'll grab a piece of this white recycled 250 GSM card. It's very nice and smooth, so this is good to use for colouring in a variety of different ways. So I'm going to use a water brush, which I should have here. So, for example, this one is a really nice blue colour called Peacock Feathers. So you can put it on, I mean, this is a glass mat. You can just get like cheap glass cutting boards. I got one from the pawn shop before. Hubby bought me this for my birthday. But you can paint with these. So say if I'd stamped the image of a unicorn and I wanted to colour his body in blue, you know, you don't have to you know, just use things in the way that they're intended to. You can use inks to stamp with, to colour with. So there's like a flower petal type shape. These water brushes are useful because you just fill them up. They're really cheap, they're really inexpensive. I've bought a pack, a variety pack of different sizes from eBay for quite cheap. I did buy one more expensive one, but they were all pretty much of a muchness, to be honest. So that's one colouring medium. I always keep a baby wipe handy because they're handy. So you can use inks to colour with. One of the inks that I didn't show you actually was these Nuvo hybrid inks. So these are, again, they're sort of a mixture of dye and pigment, or you're meant to be able to use them with water-based and alcohol-based pens. So if you are wanting to get into colouring images, if you wanted to use something water-based, like a water-based ink to colour in the way I've just shown you, or to use some aqua markers, so aqua, clearing the title, these are water-based markers, or some of these Zig Clean Colour Real Brush Pens, which are my favourite because I'm sort of trying to learn hand lettering and calligraphy, and I really love these. But if you were going to use these, so water-based ones, you would need to use a pigment ink. So you would stamp the image in a pigment ink and then use the water-based medium with that. If you try to use a water-based ink with a dye ink, it will smudge. So, you know, if you buy this, if you're wondering why your images are smudging, then that's probably what's happening. Now, if you wanted to use an alcohol-based ink, so for example, this is a Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend brush marker. So if you wanted to stamp and colour an image with this, then you would use the Memento, the dye-based ink. So dye-based inks are designed to be used with alcohol inks because they don't react. See how that blends out like that? It's one of the reasons I love alcohol markers. Now you can get that effect with watercolour as well, but yeah. I'm just aware of, okay, this video is going on quite long. Right, so colouring materials. So other types, so there's a few different types of, so you can watercolour with inks. There are watercolour pens. These are by Zig. They're on the pricier side. Some other ones that I have are by Arteza. Arteza. So they're very similar, but they've got a fatter tip. And that's another water-based one. These are, I think I've got like, I think a pack. I got these in a bundle, so someone was selling these as part of a bundle, as part of a D-stash, so I got these for a really good price. But they are on the more affordable side than the Zigs, and yeah, I do really like them. As I said, there's aqua markers, which are similar. But I don't like these as much personally, because I don't find the brush nib to be as nice. That's just me, that's just my personal preference. It might not bother you, but it feels like it's made out of a different material, and it just doesn't appeal to me the same way. And especially because if I was going to use a water-based thing, I do love and already have quite a few of the Zigs and a good selection of the Arteza. So yeah, that's something else to bear in mind. And then don't disregard good old pencil crayons. You know, if your kids have got some, you know, I've got some Crayola ones that I bought a few years back when I got one of my mom gave me one of those mindfulness colouring books, and I started colouring with it. But I did some research into sort of better quality, like good quality pencil crayons, and Prismacolor came up as one of the good ones at my sort of price range. There's a lot of other ones, but that cost a lot more money. I don't have that much money, and I'm quite thrifty. And because, again, you know, if you're dipping your toe in the water, unless you've got tons of money, you don't want to be forking out if you don't know whether you're going to like it. But I really like these Prismacolor ones, which I got from Amazon. Prismacolor, Colores, and all these words, which I think are Spanish. So I think these are essentially Prismacolor ones, but in Spanish packaging. So they were cheaper than like English branded Prismacolor ones. Now, what I really like about these is the way they lay down. It's very, very smooth. So one of the things that used to frustrate me, I've always been creative, and I remember as a child, like I always used to have a colouring book on the go, and one of the things that used to frustrate me was getting lines. So you'd be, you know, colouring some sky in blue, and you'd get streaky lines everywhere. So as an adult and sort of wanting to get into colouring images, it was about having the right products. And so, I mean, these pencil crayons, I think they're lovely. I mean, you can see from this that I've sharpened them quite a bit. There's some colours that I use more than others, but I really like the way they lay down colour. They feel really nice quality. There are brands like Faber-Castell, Albrecht Dürer. I think they're like some really expensive good ones. You know, maybe if you're thinking, do you know what, I really want to get into colouring with pencil crayons, or there's watercolour. You can also get watercolour pencil crayons. I got some Arteza ones. 48 watercolour pencils, and this is their premium range. So they do a premium range, which is like their student grade, and then they do an artist grade one. So again, because I was just dipping my toe in the water in terms of watercolour pencils, I bought the cheaper version. But these are actually really nice to just colour with as a normal pencil crayon, and obviously unless you add water to it, it just behaves as a normal pencil crayon. So again, I mean, you know, that might, if you were thinking, oh, I kind of like watercolours and I kind of like pencil crayons, that might be a good option for you because you get to try out the two. I'll show you my little swatches when I swatch these out. This video is going to end up being longer than I'd anticipated. I was going to do a short, snappy, like, right, these 10 things, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, short and snappy isn't really in my nature. So this is them. So what I did was I did a little swatch there, and this is watercolour paper. So I sort of scribbled with the pen there, up to about there, and then blended it out with a water brush. And this is the kind of effect that you get. Lots of companies have introductory offers. That was going to be another one of my tips. They have introductory offers, so I think I got like 10 or 15 or 20% off my order. So I got these for even cheaper than they were. I think with Craft Stash, you get 20% off your first order. So if you're thinking, okay, I'm brand new, I know I need to buy X, Y, Z, I need a cutting mat, I need, you know, some different types of inks, and I really want to, you know, buy some of the, something in particular. You know, just plan out and then think, okay, I'm going to get 20% off, and then maybe look for a day. You know, and if the main thing that you want to buy is a cutting mat, you know, and they've got like, 10% off cutting mats, maybe pick that day to sort of use your discount and sort of, you know, think of ways of optimising things like that. And then have a look at secondhand as well for things. I mean, I've bought my Arteza watercolour brushes, as they were secondhand. They were from eBay in a bundle. They work perfectly. So yeah, colouring materials. The next one is something to cut your paper with, or your card with. So we've got our trusty cutting mat. If you're wanting to cut if you're wanting to cut something, this is one way of cutting something. Say you wanted to cut a strip of something, you could buy either a metal ruler or a plastic ruler with a metal edge, and you could use a craft knife to cut with. So if we line that up there, and then say we want to cut ourselves what would that be? That would be a 1/2 inch. Say we wanted a 1/2 inch strip. So boom. So that's one way of cutting things. So you wanted a sentiment strip. We've measured it out, and that's a 1 inch strip. So yeah, something to cut with. So you either want a craft knife and a ruler, or you may choose to go with the option of, let's just see if this is all in shot. Yeah, you might choose to go with the option of a guillotine. Let's take this away now. So this is the Tim Holtz mini guillotine. So this is the small version, and this is great because it's got inches and centimeters on it, and each of these lines and squares are 1/4 inch. So if you wanted to cut, okay, let's cut this edge off because it's all wibbly. But if you wanted to cut a 1/4 inch strip like we did with that one, you would just go to, actually, how would you do that? It's this strip line here. So, okay, so the 1 inch starts there. No, the 1 inch starts there. Quarter, half, and I think that strip is 1/2 inch. So you would do, I would pick a really tricky one to show you would know. don't worry, this isn't going to fall down on you. Once it's up, it's up. I think that was right. Pretty much. Yeah, it is at that end, look. I think I might have had it slightly wonky. But yeah, so this is a relatively recent purchase for me, but I had wanted a guillotine for a long time, and I ended up getting this when it was on sale. But again, if I'd seen it second hand, you know, I might have bought it sooner. The blade on these are self-sharpening, so they're really good. So this is a Tonic super trimmer. So it's got this little removable blade here. It's got this small little blade on it, and you can buy refills of these, and that's how easy it is. It just slots in place. And these work in exactly the same way. So if I wanted to cut a 1-inch strip, again, it's got the little quarter mark. So if I wanted to cut a 1-inch strip, I would go, so this is where it cuts, 1, 2, so that's 1/2 inch, that's 1 inch. And that's a 1-inch strip. So say with the trimmer, I can cut my 12 by 12 inch paper, which I can't cut on my mini trimmer. So, you know, for me, I need the two. Another good thing about what are these called? Paper trimmers, is that you can cut out the centres of things. So say if I wanted to cut, okay, so up to that line, that's 1 inch. Say if I wanted to cut 1 inch down on this, I would move this to 1 inch, which I would measure using those little things, press it down, and then cut down as far as I needed to. So I haven't lined that up with the bottom, so I can't quite tell, but if I had, so you can cut lines into something. So then I could go back up to here, line that up with there. Slightly wonky, but you get the picture. You can cut the middle out of something, which you can't do with a guillotine, and so I found that really handy. And not all trimmers have the little arms on it like that for that function. So I like to do my research before I make purchases. I have made some purchases that I wouldn't necessarily make again before, of course. Bought things that I've thought, actually, I don't really like that. But sometimes you don't know until you've bought it what your preferences are. But if I wanted to, was making a card, say like this, say if I had put this onto that, and then I wanted another layer of like a different colour behind there, what I could do was do that. So I could get a piece of paper, cut the middle out, keep that and use it for something else, and then just have that skinny little border. Because why would you want to use a whole piece of paper when all you're going to see is a thin border all the way around? So that's like a little cost-effective tip for you. Right, we're very near the end now, guys. If you've stuck with me so far for these top tips, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and we're nearly finished now. The last thing on my list is scissors. So I've got a few pairs of scissors here to show you. So if you're cutting really detailed images, so say if you had stamped and coloured that leaf, let's call it a leaf, and you wanted to cut it out, you would need something that you know, that feels nice in your hands and that you can go around corners quite well with and stuff. So I originally just bought these cheap ones, stainless steel. I think they were like $1.99 or something from Amazon. These ones, Westcott. I got these and a couple of other pairs in a bundle. These cut beautifully. They're really nice quality. These are actually tailor's shears by Millward, which I won in a competition. Also cut absolutely beautifully. And these are, why are they so dirty? Or is that glue? Oh dear, I think I need to clean my drawer out. These are Tim Holtz micro serrated cutting scissors. They've got lovely big grippy handles, so you can get, I've got quite small hands, but I can get all my fingers through there. But I'll just show you. So it's micro serrated, so you will see like a tiny little bit of serration, but not very much. Serration? Is that the right word? So I like these because they've got the protective end. I like these because they just feel great, and if I'm cutting a long piece, it's got a longer blade. These feel really nice against my fingers. These I bought originally for fussy cutting, but actually they're a bit too small for me, so I do still use them sometimes. But again, a decent pair of scissors is probably something to invest in, and again, that's down to personal choice. Maybe read reviews, watch more YouTube videos, speak to other people and find out what they like. I tend to use these three most of all. These I quite like for fussy cutting or fine detail cutting. So I think that's about it. I have mentioned stamping briefly, and I have mentioned die cutting briefly, but because this is a sort of meant to be a very basic introduction video, I haven't really touched on those that much. And as I have already done a video on how to stamp. Die cutting, if you want me to do a video on die cutting, I'm happy to. If you let me know in the comments if that's something you like. This is an example of a die cutting machine, which you can use to make things like, that's a handle, or part of a handle. That's a die cut guitar. That is a die cut panel. There were some spares from a project that I recently did. And all of these three I cut on the Gemini Mini. So you can see that this cuts really intricate things. It'd be small, but it'd be mighty. But I think that covers everything that I wanted to cover. So I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful. If there's anything, any questions that you've got, please leave them below in the comments and I will answer them. If there's anything following this that you would like me to do a video on, please let me know and I'll try and get that scheduled in. If you haven't already liked, subscribed to my channel, that would be great if you would do that, because then you'll get to see more of my videos. They'll appear when you're subscribed to me. And if you want to be notified as soon as I release a new video, you can also click the bell. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. See and speak to you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.